Alright, so it's day 27 of going through my journal. And the quote for today is, "We rise by lifting others." And the prompt is, how do you lift up others? How can you do more to continue to lift, that's probably supposed to be others, up? So if you're following along, just pause the video here and take a few minutes to respond to this question, and I'll be back here in a second with my response. All right, so how do I lift others up, and how can I do more to lift others up? I feel like I probably know about what I wrote on here, but we'll see what I said. I don't do a lot to lift others up, but I also don't think I bring others down. I feel like I generally lift my significant other up, but I normally just have my attention on that one person. I try to be nice to most people in public, especially those in the service industry. There are times that I've wanted to do nice things for people, but for some reason I get really nervous or anxious to do it, so I don't. And so that's one thing I don't understand about myself, because I want to do things like volunteer, help people out, things like that. And there's been a couple of times in public where I've seen someone who could probably use some help, but I get anxiety thinking about it. So I get anxiety thinking about approaching someone, seeing if they need help. And then I also get anxiety over the fact that I didn't. And I'm like, well, what if that person needed help and I didn't do anything? So it's just this weird thing that I have noticed that I don't know, it makes me anxious. I would like to help people, but at the same time, I get really anxious about it. And I wonder, there's been times in the past that I have helped people and it has backfired on me, but most of the time it was more often people approaching me for help, and even if I didn't feel totally comfortable doing it, I was too passive to say no. And yeah, there was one instance where this was back in, when did Hurricane Katrina happen? Was it 2005? It was not too long after Hurricane Katrina had happened. And so we had a lot of refugees from New Orleans come up to Arkansas, and we had, I think they even had them at the some of the military bases around. And so there was a lot of Katrina refugees around, and I was over visiting a friend at this apartment complex, and there were these two women. Whenever I was going to leave, they were kind of hanging out outside, and they said that they had been in Katrina, and they were up where I live, and they were waiting on a cab to take them to their hotel, and the cab was just taking forever, and they asked if I could give them a ride. And I was just, I felt uneasy about it, but I was like, okay, sure, it's on my way, why not? And at the time I had been a server, and if you're a server, you have your tips in cash, and you have usually the little booklet where you take orders and keep your cash and everything in it. And I had my little apron and all that in my car, and I'd gone out to eat with my parents earlier, and I'd had some leftovers in the car. And one of them was like, oh, these leftovers smell, this food smells good. And I was like, oh, you can have it, go ahead, whatever. And so, but then also normally when I would drive, I would keep my purse in the back, and one of the women was in the back, and it seemed like she was kind of rustling around. I always also had I was in school, so I had my backpack and school books and everything, and I started to get a little nervous. I was like, what is she rustling around in the back for? And then I was just kind of like, oh, my purse is back there, I hope she's not going through my purse. And but then in my mind, I was like, Leah, stop. You're, just, I just thought I was being a little bit like over, thinking things. Well, thank God they didn't take anything out of my purse. So I still had my ID and all, and my credit cards and debit cards and all that, because that would have been really bad if I would have had to like cancel, get a new ID and all that stuff. So I was thankful that it was just the tip money. They took my whole like work apron with, all my tips in it and everything. And I was not very responsible, and so I would generally like go a week or two before I would deposit my tip money in the bank. And I would also keep a bank of tip money on me. I was responsible in that sense, because a lot of people would show up to work and not have money. If you're a server, like most places, you're expected to come in with your own cash to make change when customers give you cash. And a lot of times at the start of your shift, you don't have cash to make change. So I would keep, a set of cash in there, usually like $50 to $100 in there, just so I would have money to make tips or to make change. And yeah, so I think it was like $350 altogether, because it had been a couple days since I had been to the bank. And I was just thinking, I'm lucky that I just let two strangers in my car, and I'm lucky that all they took was that cash, and I'm lucky that, I'm in a situation to where I'm still living with my parents, and that's not gonna break me. It wasn't like they took my rent money or anything like that. But then there was another situation where there was this guy at, like FedEx or something, and I think he was in there trying to print off like his bus ticket, and he was asking them for like, where's the bus station, and he was kind of like asking them for directions, and it looked like he was like the Greyhound bus, and it looked like he was asking for directions on how he could take like the city bus or whatever to get to the bus station. And I overheard this, and I was just thinking like, well, that's on my way, so I was like, I could take you to the bus station if you need me to. And he was like, thank you so much, what all this. So I'm thinking he needs to get to the bus station right now. And so gets in my car. Like, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, you were so naive, like how could you do that? But I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if he did need to get to the bus station, it wasn't going to be until later or something. But instead of telling me that, he had me go to the bus station, and then I just don't know what happened. Like, he somehow tricked me into, I should have just dropped him off at the bus station and been like, there you go. But he was like, oh, I just need to go and make sure the bus is on time, and then I have this one other place that I need to go. And then I was just kind of like, I should have just said no. I should have just been like, no, here, I gotta get to work. Here's the bus station. And he had me driving like all over town. And I'm pretty sure I was probably aiding him in like dropping off drugs or something, because we were going to these apartment complexes, and he had these stories, as to why he needed to go there and all this stuff. And it just, I don't know. But I'm just like, and so now, I mean, there's been a few other instances. Those were just like the two that kind of come to the top of my mind. But it just, I think there's been times that I have helped people and that was taken advantage of. So I think I still have this drive to want to help people, but I think I get this anxiety because when I have done it in the past, it's like been negative on me, like it's backfired on me. So maybe that's got to be what it is. Maybe I do want to help people, but I just am afraid of getting taken advantage of. Anyway, well, let's go on from it. So I said I get really nervous or anxious, so I don't do it. And I said, in that sense, I guess I've just resorted to keeping to myself and thinking it's all right to just avoid causing harm to others. So I guess I'm like saying, like, even though I'm not helping others, at least I'm not hurting others. it says, I guess I'm a bit adverse to helping others because of times in the past that I've offered to help or have been asked to help and have been taken advantage of. And then I said, there are also people in my life who are bad people and often take advantage of others. So I guess I've seen that happen a lot. And it makes me more hesitant to help. And then I said, like, I know there are times when people legitimately are good and just have been in bad situations and need help, but I've been in so many bad situations trying to help people that at this point, it's not really worth taking the risk for me. I also have a hard time lying. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I also have a hard time lying. I know some people who try to bring others up by giving them compliments, but I struggle with that because this is really small writing. I don't tend to value superficial things. So I think I just went on a whole other turn on that. So I think in terms of lifting others up, I think on the first part, I was thinking about actually doing acts of kindness to help people. But then I think I was switching to say, well, there are other ways to bring people up with like your words. And so again, this goes into like my shyness of, you know, being uncomfortable with talking to people and not knowing the right words to say. And then what I'm saying down here, I think is like, sometimes people lift others up with words, but I feel like it's fake and superficial because, again, of other people that I've been around who will just say, like, just go on and on about, you know, there's somebody that right now that I'm uncomfortable being around them because whenever I am around them, all they do is like, they'll give me compliments. But I know 100% that they're not real compliments. They are this type of person that will compliment other people, but it's not because they really believe the compliments. It's because they want to build this person up to have a positive view of them so that they can take advantage of them. And I've known a few people like that it's fake compliments and flattery just to get something out of you. And there are some people, I feel like I've gotten a lot better. I feel like I'm pretty perceptive, especially in the last few years, of like recognizing when compliments are genuine and when they're fake. I'm not good at lying. I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible liar. So I don't ever try to lie, and I try to keep myself out of situations where a lie might be necessary. But so yeah, so I'm not good at like lifting others up with my words, because unless, and that's another weird thing, like I probably could, like there are a lot of situations where I do think that these people are like great people or I look up to them, but I get shy or nervous to compliment them. And maybe it's because I don't take compliments well. Even when I know they're sincere compliments, it like, I don't know that it embarrasses me. Like on one hand, it kind of feels good to get a compliment, but then on the other hand, I kind of get shy about it and I don't know how to react to compliments. And so I think because I feel that way when I get complimented, even when I want to compliment someone, I don't compliment them because I don't want to make them uncomfortable, I guess. I think that's probably what it is. But yeah. Anyways, this is kind of weird because like it's weird because I feel like I want to be a good person and I want to help people, but I don't feel like I have it in me to do that for whatever reason. Like I'm blocked from doing that. And like I think I've said before, like I generally like people. There's not a lot of people that I dislike or hate. There are people that I think do bad things, but I don't necessarily think that most of them are deep down bad people. But at the same time, like, I don't often go out of my way just to help people, I guess. So that's my response on that one. And I will be back tomorrow with day 28.